so far, or an item that has been checked, and also the position of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. But the cost of living, as you can see, the gentleman there who is emaciated with the pail in hand is yet to fall down as the circus continues with the NDC. Let us just look at this. Are we likely to see, because the cost of living has been a catnip issue, it has not been picked up adequately. It has been a disjointed view from both camps, Kenya Kwanza and Azimio, regarding the cost of living. I want just to hear from you. Are we, when he says if the talks falter, we'll go back to the streets? There has been a conclusion of it. What talks are we talking about again?
Can I start?
Please.
I want to say this. You see, the BAL, this dialogue, National Dialogue Committee, was an initiative of the Azimio people. And I remember the first time Kenya Kwanza government said, why do we want us to, Kenyans have voted, they have elected a government, give it mandate to do its job. But because they took the protests and all that, President William Ruto said, yeah, let's come and talk. And the talks have happened. Now we have more problems in Azimio than, because of the results. But I want to talk about the cost of living. The cost of living is the responsibility of government and its policies and how they want to do it. And I can tell you, one of the things that President William Ruto did, he said, allow me, I'll bring the cost of hunger down without subsidy. Has he done it? Yes, he has, because he knows what he is doing. That is the biggest cost of living, food on the table, from 260, 240 to 139, packet of 2 kilograms of food. He has done it within his ability. He has done it within his policies. He has succeeded in it. What is the next thing? The next thing is fuel. It will not take the National Dialogue Committee to bring the cost of fuel down. It is about what government, the input of government in terms of policy and in terms of government ingenuity to ensure that they bring it down. And I think you saw in the supplementary budget, we have now the fund that we have put, the stabilization fund for fuel. Government policy, it will not come from that dialogue committee to do that. So even when they want to start fighting and making noise about the president, I heard the president on Sunday say, give me 3 years, I will make sure this country is stable in everything. I will clear the mess that was there and ensure that everything is stable. So what I want to say is that the cost of living issue is not an issue, as an economic issue as we see it. It is a political issue. And Azimio wants to use it for politics, not for the purposes of helping this country. They want to look at the issue of cost of living, create a political mountain out of it, and want to destabilize government on that basis and try to put reflect this government in a bad way. But I want to tell Azimio, they do not have the solution. They do not have solutions for this country. Kenya Kwanza has solutions to the problems that we have, and President William Ruto is squarely and fittingly on the seat to ensure that the cost of living comes down. And I can assure you, I've been in their parliament. I have seen the policies that this government is bringing in. I have seen the legislation, and it is within that ambit of legislation and policies and all that the cost of living will not come down in an artificial way, but will come down within the metrics of economics. And I have seen the is it the Standard or the Nation newspaper, where you have more problems in Azimio. I think former President Kenyatta is unhappy with the outcome of and I want to tell I never thought one day I would sit here and advise a former president, but I want to advise him. Sit down, relax, and watch this government do the right thing for the people. You messed up this country with your populist policies. You messed up this country with your poor economics. Watch this country, this government put in place proper mechanism to ensure that we are not living as an artificially managed and governed country, but a country that is managed and governed on the realities of the day, using sound policies, using sound legislation, so that the Kenyans can start enjoying being Kenyans. It will take us some time, The pain will be there, but eventually we will reach where we have wanted to go. And I want to tell Raila Odinga, it has Raila Odinga has come up, I don't know the right word to use, on a populism platform. Populist politician. You cannot run the economics of a country in a populist way. You have to be realistic in terms of the policies and in terms of the legislation that is there. That's the only way this country can succeed. And it is the way other economies have been managed and have succeeded. Allow Kenya Kwanza to succeed. And Kenya Kwanza succeed. Kenya has succeeded. Not just a few people that succeed on the backs of other people. And that is what Uhuru Kenyatta's regime was about.
All right. I want to just when you talk about legislation, before we even plumb deeper there.
Yes.
The question of the Parliamentary Service Commission,
yes,
and why you want to have your allowances, you as legislators, done and will be under the watch of the Parliamentary Service Commission and not the Salaries and the Remuneration Commission. There is an increase that you are seeking of allowances that is up into around 2 to 3 billion shillings. Why do you want to usurp, so to speak, the powers of SRC, that is a constitutional body, and domicile it under the Parliamentary Service Commission? And why are you as legislators wanting to determine your own packs and not the Salaries and Remuneration Commission? This fight has been going for the longest time, even as we're looking at the cost of living. Are you legislators looking at your own self when you're trying to raise this particular budgetary allocation from what it is and upping it to 4.2 billion shillings? So are we speaking from both sides of the mouth when it comes to the cost of living?
I want to, if you go to the Constitution, what is the role of SRC? The role of SRC is very clear: to advise, not to set. If you go there, I'm trying to get the article where SRC is established.
Yeah, you show me faster, because I
can tell you for a fact that SRC's job is to advise.
Yeah, to set.
Okay, is to advise, not to set packs, not to set salaries, not to do things like that. They have overstepped their mandate. And you see, if you overstep today, if you overstep tomorrow, you overstep the next day, you form a practice, and people think that is actually your mandate. It is not their mandate. Parliamentary Service Commission, just like the Judicial Service Commission, just like all other commissions that are within in this country, they have a role. And the Parliamentary Service Commission has a mandate to its members, and if it sees that their members require certain welfare and certain packs, they will make a proposal. And when they make that proposal, they'll bring it to the House and it will be debated. And if it merits, it will pass. But this thing of every time vilifying members of Parliament because their packs and their allowances and everything are known and people are aware about them all the time. There are, I have sometimes questioned. I have some, not questioned, but said, okay, a member of Parliament, when a member of Parliament, you're flying to Mombasa as a member of Parliament, you will sit in economy. You'll sit in economy. Yeah. But a CEO of a parastatal that is struggling, that doesn't have any resources, will be booked business class or a boat.
Right.
A boat of a parastatal that is struggling. The whole board of a parastatal that is struggling, they will sit in business. A member of Parliament will sit in economy. Kenyans don't speak about that. Because for us, it is austerity measures to sit in economy as parliamentarians. Right. But 5 boards members, and I've traveled on a flight from Nairobi to Mombasa, where 5 parastatals are having meetings in Mombasa, and all board members are in business, relaxed, and spending colossal amounts of money, public funds, sitting in business with the CEO, with the secretaries, and everybody. But just because these others have a name called members of Parliament, you sit in economy, but these guys spend the wastage that is in this country is not from Parliament. It is not parliamentarians who spend the most money.
So
it is those many CEOs, many board members, many chairs of councils, many council members who spend colossal amounts of money. But just because the council is called a member of parliament, you want always to be vilifying a member of parliament.
How can you determine your own allowances?
I didn't hear that.
How can you determine your own allowances? You as parliamentarians.
Because it is the, you know, there
so
are three
arms.
I want to say this, Debal, and this is where you
and this
people
is,
in the...
And I'm sorry to bat it, because also you are not right when you say that the salaries and the remuneration commission are not, their role is purely advisory.
I want to say
because the article, we have Article 230 of the Constitution.
Yes.
Section 4.
Yes.
Yeah, subsection A says, or section 4 says the powers and the function of the salaries and the remuneration commission shall be to A, set and regularly review the remuneration and benefits of all state officers.
Okay.
And advise the national and county government on the remuneration and benefits of all other public officers.
Okay, very good. I want you to stick at B. Who are members of parliament? Who are members of parliament? Are they state officers? So where do members of parliament fall? They fall under B. Advise.
Advise.
Yes.
National.
Yes. They're supposed to advise. Okay? But not to set for us. And then also look at what is parliament? Parliament is the second arm, or whatever arm, is one of the three arms of government. The judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. So allow parliament to be parliament, the other arm of government, actually the longest arm. Allow parliament to be parliament. And that is why people don't want to allow parliament to be parliament. What is it? It's the legislature. It is an arm of government.
I agree.
It can regulate, it can set this, it can do. Even now, we regulate our own calendar. You know that. Parliament is independent to the set that we regulate our own calendar. But why is it that when Parliament wants to do certain things for themselves, because they know that this is who they are, you come and say, SRC.
All right.
No, allow Parliament to be Parliament, allow Parliament to be the third arm, the other arm of government, an independent arm. And that's where it should rest.
So in your own independence,
yes.
Because even if now it's not stipulated very expressly in the Constitution, in your own independence,
yes.
You want to give yourself the incumbency of setting your own allowances.
You see, even
because it could be not in the Constitution, but don't you think also looking at just keenly is me coming here and setting my own salary? There's no structure. We have the Parliamentary Service Commission, also we have the commissioners who are parliamentarians who are overseeing the setting of his allowances. I fail to understand.
The parliamentary. I want you to look at the composition of Parliamentary Service Commission.
You're a Mswahili. You normally say that
no, but I want you to look at the composition of Parliamentary Service Commission. The composition of Parliamentary Service Commission. It is wrong to say it is just parliamentarians. It is not.
Majority of them are.
Yes, but
indeed.
But we have members
of the
public. We have members of the public that sit in the Parliamentary Service Commission.
Correct.
And when Parliamentary Service Commission sits down to look at what is that, there are Chapter 15 commission. It's a commission that looks at what is best for the people that... I earn a salary from Public Service Commission. I don't earn a salary from Parliament. And Parliamentary Service Commission is a different organ from Parliament. It is just that, just like JSC. JSC does all those kind of things. They are Chapter 15 commission. It is regulated by Chapter 15 laws and regulations, and therefore allow Parliamentary Service Commission to be a commission just like Public Service Commission is. The Public Service Commission actually sets salaries for members of the public. But the people there,
isn't that the wrong
let me just make this very clear, Dibal, because
I hear from Susiona and also.
No, I want to make this very clear
because it is like you're using the wrong template to actually justify your own.
I want to say this,
because if
Public Service Commission is run by the public service, Okay, Public Service Commission is run by the Public Service, and actually it has a ministry, but it sets packs, it sets allowances, it sets this, for the public.
That's okay.
Okay, Parliamentary Service Commission is within Parliament. It is run by Parliament, but the most beautiful thing is there are members from the public that sit within the Parliamentary Service Commission. They are nominated to come and sit there. Today we have Mudama, and we have two ladies, I think, from the public who are not members of Parliament, who sit within the Parliamentary Service Commission. So you cannot say that parliamentarians are setting their own remuneration. You cannot say that per se.
You're seeking to.
So
you're seeking to.
So we are seeking to, but it is not true. It is something that the public, and I want to say, I know the media will pick that and make members of Parliament look so bad that they are not alive to the economies of this country. We are alive to the economics of this country, and we know that times are hard. Yes. But times are hard for everybody, even members of Parliament. Therefore, allow members of Parliament to be members of Parliament, the other arm of government, and that also put Parliamentary Service Commission where it belongs. It is not run by members of Parliament. It is run by a commission which includes members of the public.
To follow your arguments, times are hard even for the legislators in Parliament, and they have the instruments and the tools to actually raise their own packs. Because right now you're coming with the salaries, not salaries, the amendment bill that is actually being steamrolled by Kimani Ichung'wah right now, that is seeking to raise this 4.2 billion shillings of your allowances.
I want to...
And in this miscellaneous amendment bill as well, you're seeking to actually raise even the fuel levy, right? For yes, this is what I want to say. Because we, as Wananchi, don't have the instruments to actually raise our own salaries. But you have the tool, the bill, that you can actually now raise your own salaries, and you want to steamroll that. You change the functions or half of the functions of SRC, you put it on the Parliamentary Service Commission so that this will sail through. No, we can say through. Let's hear from
you skipped me, Dibal.
I skipped you.
You seem to have a very big issue.
Here.
You seem to have a very big issue.
We start
with
there.
This 4.2 billion, and we've taken a lot of time about it. And I think, to me, it's a non-issue. Chapter 15, constitutional commissions. They have roles and function. They are not created as window dressing entities. They have a role in the terms and conditions of service of their employees. Either some of them are determined by SRC or they receive advisory from SRC. That's a fact. That's how the Constitution is framed, with those safeguards. So do you expect the Teacher Service Commission to sit and wait to be directed by SRC on matters to do with terms and conditions of service for teachers? Of course they will set. They will know we are paying hardship allowance for teachers in this particular hard to staff areas, and those hardship allowances are not earned by other staff. So you'll realize workers under the different constitutional commissions work under different terms and conditions of service. Now, when you come to Parliament, Parliament is a Parliamentary Service Commission. It's one of the Chapter 15 Constitutional Commission. The terms and conditions of service of staff of Parliament, from MPs to the staff. Why are you only focused on elected leaders who are only there for 5 years and they go away? There are the secretariat staff, from the clerk, a huge personnel.
They are the ones who are seeking to raise these allowances. And that's why we are raising this concern.
Reviewing is a normal thing. Review of salaries is a normal practice. And they're not reviewed downwards. And this is they'll always be reviewed upwards, like teachers. And let me give you an example.
In the spirit of austerity,
because you don't have to argue to look like you are so vindictive and so bitter.
Not bitter.
What is 4.5 billion? That goes to 500 members of Parliament at the Senate, and the National Assembly, and a huge number of secretariat staff. I don't know the number. What is wrong with reviewing their terms? What is wrong with reviewing terms of teachers? What is wrong with reviewing terms of civil of public servants through the PSC. What is wrong with reviewing terms of the police? You saw the other day the report on reviewing the terms of the police officers, because their working conditions is different from those of parliamentarians. And there is a recommendation to review their salaries upward by 40% in 2 or 3 financial years, which is okay. That has been arrived at. Let it be implemented. That's a completely different entity. Teachers, the other day, and civil servants received a salary rise of 7 to 9%, considering inflation. Do you think inflation is excluding staff of the National Assembly, Parliament, for that matter? It is not.
No.
Even you in the media houses, salaries can be reviewed by your employers and nobody will question. But for public service, the work of SRC is to determine for certain cadre for state officers and advise others for other public service. So that is what it is. So for Parliamentary Service Commission to come up with a recommendation of 4.2 billion, who will originate the proposal? The proposal must come from Parliament and then is subjected to further advisory by SRC. So these are issues of processes. But Dibal, let's come back to the National Dialogue report.
Well, let's hear from
Yes.
Let's hear from Tabitha, then we'll come back to you as well on that particular matter. I want to hear what she has to say.
You know, we are always vindicated so negatively as members of Parliament when it comes to any financial matters. We are coming from a point where our allowances, even before we joined Parliament, the allowances for parliamentarians was scrapped off completely. And I mean, it has been a process in terms of looking at is it viable? Was it justified and all that? The other day, some time back, I was here and there was an issue of one of the impeachments we were doing for one of the governors in Meru, for the governor of Meru then, and I came and told you we left the house, the chambers at around 2 a.m. and when senators leave chambers out of their workings at 2 a.m. I mean, there's no extra allowance, there's no extra coin. It is work. And this job as a this role as a member of Parliament is a normal job. You know, it is work that has role, that has also timelines. From now, Dibal, we are going to move into committees that might be ending up at about 1 p.m. And then 1 hour, there's lunch break. And then after that, we are going to plenary from 2:30 to 6:30 p.m. You know, and at times there are extensions and all that. So one thing that needs to be very clear, as stipulated in the Constitution, is that the role of the SRC is to advise, you know, and that advice does not stop from there. When that advice is given, still the Parliamentary Service Commission submits that to Parliament for approval. It is still not final. It is a cycle that moves from one arm to the other. So it's not such that the Parliamentary Service Commission, I mean, that is it. There's normally a process. And that is why we have the Constitution clearly indicating the membership of Parliamentary Service Commission, the members of the public, the members of Parliament, both from National Assembly and from Senate, and further to that also from the different coalition parties, government and opposition, so that everybody is represented and taken care of. And it clearly says also in Article 230 of the Constitution, Salaries and Remuneration Commission, whereby they normally appoint chairperson of the different commissions, which range from the Parliamentary Service Commission, Public Service Commission, Judicial Service Commission, Teacher Service Commission, National Police Service Commission. These are different commissions that then there is that process and that advice, because we have the bodies that are now affiliated to the institutions directly, that now understand and are able to take through the commission and make them understand why then this needs to be cut or why then this needs to be increased. And these are processes that take place. The only problem we have as members of parliament is it's always negated. It's always negative. We are human beings.
But we thought also
all
of us with the doldrums as far as the economy is concerned.
Yes, we are.
And,
but you need to
because
note,
now you have the latitude and the liberty, then you have the instruments in the legislation to do this. You can actually think about yourself first, and you say 4.6 billion shillings should be actually raised as our parks.
You are wrong on the thinking of ourselves first. That would be wrong, because we are moving to 2024. We've been here from
we hear double speak from you legislators, because what we hear is that we need to tighten our belt. We need to pare down on the things that we've been doing. We need, because the economy is in the doldrums. It's tanking. There's no money in the kitty. We've had leaders here actually raising that concern. The previous administration pilfered everything. There were clammy fingers that took away and robbed the economy. We don't have money. We don't have money, yet you want 4.6 billion shillings. So where is it going to come from? We have 70,000 jobs which are actually going down through the tubes. We just had the Federation of Kenya Employers saying that this is unsustainable because of the Financial Act and its ramifications. People will be losing their jobs. Just today we were reading that even from the coast, the EPZ farms there, the apparel farms of Mombasa, you want to lay off 7,000, almost 7,300 or 840 employees. There is no money. Why would you even be thinking about raising your own parks when there is no money?
Dibal, we were not going to be in the same situation forever. As much as we raised the concerns that had been there, we
take special average myself.
We put
and
special
I speak
measures.
For many.
We are coming from where we found that the corpuses were empty to the strategies in terms of now how to solve that, how to mitigate that to where we are today.
Tabitha, I agree.
These are the plans moving forward from the next year, from 2024, moving forward. As Mheshimiwa had even mentioned, we've talked about the cost of unga, where we found 250. We are now retailing at 135.
Okay.
Things are going to improve.
On buyer, don't you think, even when you're talking about raising anything right now, I mean, Kenyans are very sensitive. Right. So if you're saying these are plans for 2024, then this is very ill timed for you to even be broaching about it and bringing a bill in the House. Why can't you wait for everything to quell when things stabilizes and people now have a grip with their lives and the economy? You can even suggest and think about raising your parks.
I want to say this. During this time when the supplementary estimates came to Parliament, and I want to inform those people that are not in the know that Parliament actually was the heaviest affected. Parliament budget was cut almost by half. And nobody sat down to say, yes, I think our members of Parliament have risen to the occasion that we are in bad times. We lost as Parliament. Today, I run a GK car, and my fuel budget has been cut by almost 3/4. Actually, there's 11 billion that was set for fuel at Parliament. It was cut by 7 billion. 7 billion. We remain with 4 billion. Actually, we actually sat down and said, already Parliament has even spent more than 4 billion, okay, in terms of fuels and all that. But the budget was cut by 7 billion, and my clerk told me we are on our own. Okay, 7 billion, just for fuel. On trips and travels, the budget for travels, it was cut almost by 3/4 in the current supplementary estimates, which the President signed into law. That is Parliament. Parliament, a lot of things in Parliament were frozen and money was taken away because of austerity measures. Okay, so if we lost 7 billion, I just want to take you 7 billion on fuel. We lost 7 billion on fuel. What is 4.2 billion?
4.6 billion.
4.6 billion. What is it really? Does it really require all that airtime to discuss? While we have lost for Parliament over 100 billion. Not over 100 billion, but over 20 billion has been taken away from the current estimates. But nobody's saying, hey, our parliamentarians have done something great. Nobody's saying that. But we're going to live with it because we understand we are in hard economic times. And when I actually went to Dindi Nyoro and told him, Dindi, how do you do this? You're a member of parliament. How do you bring, that time when the estimates came, I was the leader in the house because Ichungwa was in dialogue, and I was leading the majority in parliament. And I said, how come we have lost as parliament in this supplementary budget? Dindi Nyoro told me, we are Kenyans. We should, all of us, ensure that every Kenyan, we need to make it smooth for every Kenyan. And parliament lost a lot of money. And I would like you to do an analysis of the supplementary estimates that were presented, which is now low. And I would like to invite journalists to do that and actually tell us how much did Parliament sacrifice for the sake of austerity. That's what we need to know. That's what we need to look at. So when you bring the kind of 4.6, I look at it and say, yeah, yes, 4.6, but have you looked at what we sacrificed for this country? We lost. The trips that people are supposed to go are not there. They've been slashed. Members of Parliament are supposed to go for IALA games. It's half the team that went last year that will go to Rwanda because money has been slashed. The number, in fact, members of parliament have allowed their allowances to be downgraded from the normal allowances just because we have to, send a team to IALA, but we need to bring down the cost, and therefore we have reduced the members of parliament that are going on the trip. We have actually said a lot of the staff will not go on that trip. And we are going to take a cut on the allowances. Members of parliament have done that. But journalists will not pick that. They will not pick that to tell Kenyans what parliamentarians have done. Parliamentarians have the heart of this country. They have, they're the back of this country. They're saying, if we must take a cut, we will take a cut for the country. Yeah. And they have done that. So I would like you, as you analyze and pick here and there, and I would like the newspapers tomorrow to say, Parliament takes a cut in supplementary estimates. Then you'll be fair to us as members of parliament. But as it stands right now, you're only picking up something that will come many years. But currently, ask my friend Tabitha here when she last got her mileage. Parliament subsistence allowance is closed, mileage closed. Everything. The system, in fact, IFME system in parliament is closed. And we don't go to the chamber to pay.
So why would you be complaining that now your fuel has been pared down and still you get also allowances of the mileage?
I am a leader.
Because you get fuel and then you get mileage allowance.
No. I want to make it very clear.
I think you
as a leader,
as legislators in this world.
I'm not talking about legislators getting money for fuel. As leadership, you have a GK car. It's fueled by parliament. Staff of parliament have parliament vehicles. The fuel used by parliament has been cut. The budget for travels has been cut. Yeah. And I would like you to do an analysis of the supplement of the budget 2023-2024 and supplementary estimate. Who lost the most in that supplementary budget?
All right.
Parliament did, and that is a fact. And I want to tell Kenyans that as members of parliament, we will not take advantage of Kenyans. We will not want to be comfortable with Kenyans. We are in the same boat. Things have been cut. And we said it is okay if we will do it for Kenya. And we are doing it for Kenya because we are part of this board. And if people must take a cut, we have taken a cut as parliament in terms of the allowances and all that. And I want to tell you, the 12th parliament, in 12th parliament, we had a sitting allowance for chamber, okay? In 12th parliament. I sat in 12th parliament, Sosion sat in 12th parliament. We had a sitting allowance for chamber, Right now, parliament doesn't have that anymore. It was a cut. How much money did we save? A lot of money that was saved because that is 416 members per day times 5,000.
Okay, thank you.
Times 5.
It seems we need to interrogate this miscellaneous amendment bill because this is the omnibus that really carries a lot of things. If it's not interrogated, we find at the end of the day that we have levies that were not well scrutinized. Even in Parliament, people who are supposed to maybe to question these things, it passes them very easily because it's tucked away in the omnibus
bill. Actually, as a Parliament, let me tell you, as Parliament, we have issues with a miscellaneous amendment bill, and I think a lot of the things that are in miscellaneous amendment bill might be dropped to wait for substantive legislation, because sometimes these MDAs, ministries, departments and agencies, they bring miscellaneous amendments and they hide things there that you're not aware of, and because it's an omnibus bill, then things might pass without proper scrutiny. And therefore, that's why we are saying at the 10th Parliament, we are insisting that if you must bring an amendment, bring it in the mother legislation, so that we do not carry on board legislations that may hurt certain sectors of the economy. That one, I agree.
Right.
Yes.
But what if it's actually being steamrolled by your majority leader?
No, miscellaneous. Don't put it on the miscellaneous amendments. All miscellaneous amendments will come to Parliament in the name of the majority leader. Yes.
Yeah.
It will come in Parliament.
In the name of majority leader.
Yes, because he's the one who signs the bill.
He's the one who signs the bill?
Yes. So do not put it on him that he's insensitive. No.
Correct.
But I know Kimani Ichung'wah will say, many times we have had a bill that has come, he has looked at it and said, though this bill has come in my name, because I'm the majority leader, I can't support it. Let it be dropped, let it go back to the committee, and I want changes to it.
You as a deputy majority leader, I'm concerned that in this amendment bill also we do have the Energy Act of 2019 that seeks to be amended.
Yes.
By doubling Energy Petroleum Regulatory Authority. I raised this with other legislators yesterday.
Yes.
Leave it to a maximum of 1% from the current ceiling of 0.5%.
Yes.
And we know Kenyans are currently paying 0.25% per litre on the petrol, diesel and kerosene as petroleum regulatory levy. They're also paying 0.08 on each unit of electricity as April levy. Why are we seeking to raise these fuel levies again? And what is the role of EPRA getting this budgetary allocation? Because this is bound to affect the palm price. The president has said in the next 6 months there will not be any fuel increment. Maybe this should be the question for Wilson Sossion, so that we can go.
And if you allow me to say this, you see, the spirit of miscellaneous amendment is such that every sector looks at what are the issues. So they say, we are proposing legislation. We are proposing legislation in this and this. And all these are bound into one document called, actually the supplementary, the miscellaneous amendment bill is usually, statute amendment bill is usually a big, thick document. Because a lot of these issues might have even come from 2020, but they were not put in the miscellaneous, but they are being put now. But they don't even originate from the current holders of office. But because it is there, and you know this miscellaneous amendment bill that is coming, it I think came to Parliament 4 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago. You know, some of these realities that we have now were not there, because this, if you check this miscellaneous amendment bill, statute amendment bill, I started seeing it in the order paper. I think sometimes in April, there. You know, that's when it was brought to Parliament. Some of the things are not even as they are realistic, but we will take them to after first reading, we will take them to the committees. And the committees will look at what is the reality. And a lot of them will be dropped. What will come with just a sieve of just a few of those things will make their way to the House, and the House to the floor, and the floor will make a decision on them. And I do not think we will, as government, will support some of those amendments that have been brought by MDAs, and that is how you handle it. So Kenyans should not be worried about this miscellaneous amendment bill. Some crazy CEO may want an increase in this, may want that, and wants to sneak it in the. But we are awoke. We know these things, and we will. And we have maintained. Kimani Ichung'wah, when I was working with him, we were temporary opposition in the 12th Parliament with him, and we opposed miscellaneous amendment, statute amendment, and he said no, it is the wrong way. to bring legislation to the House. It is the wrong way. And we will stand by that as we move forward with this miscellaneous.
Right.
Yeah, well, the way I know Debal is that
Yes.
Parliament will always be independent in its legislation.
Yes.
And miscellaneous amendment bill is a combination of various urgent legislations from government ministries that are urgently required to align certain operations for government to be able to deliver. And they're not always substantive legislation.
Yes.
They're minor and they're all consolidated. And the assumption that the omnibus miscellaneous amendment bill process will be used to sneak in certain pieces of legislation is a mere rumor, is a mere figment of imagination. Miscellaneous amendment bill goes through all other processes that the other normal bills go through.
Yes.
Yeah. So I remember in the 12th Parliament, there were clauses to amend the NSSF and the NHIF, and the plenary of Parliament was able to listen to us from those sectors and expunge those clauses, and they were actually expunged. So Parliament is a very clean process because after the first reading, all clauses are referred to the relevant committees. And the relevant committees will call for public participation. They go through public participation. Before then, they're taken to the second reading for debate and proposal for amendments, either to expunge. So Parliament is not a blind entity where you push through legislations of whatever nature. So I think there should be no confusion about that. And you can have even 500 clauses or in the miscellaneous amendment bill, but then all of them will be treated properly through the various committee processes, and they will go through the committee of the whole house again, clause by clause, and debate each clause until it is exhausted. So I think Kenyan legislative framework and Parliament, the way it is not very easy to originate a mischievous legislation unless you want to force it the way we saw Jubilee trying to do it, which was wrong, pushing certain pieces of legislation, which of course fundamentally were wrong, and they've messed up the country. And I don't think the administration of Kenya Kwanza is going to do that.
No.
The pieces of legislation, let them go to committees, let them be canvassed freely at the committees. What is rejected will be rejected, and that is it. And that is the mandate of Parliament.
And
nobody is going to take away the mandate
What
of
you need
Parliament.
to add, Mheshimiwa, on the committees are not Kenya Kwanza committees alone. They are committees of
And by the
all
way,
parties.
Parliament is the Parliament of Kenya. It's an independent arm. This is not controlled by government.
No.
Government will only table miscellaneous amendment bills through the majority leader. That's it.
Yes.
The rest, even if the entire plenary throws out the entire miscellaneous amendment bill, that is it. The committees of the House are committees of the House.
Independent.
Drawing membership from the different parliamentary parties.
Correct.
And they are free to work. So, so I think, Debal, this one, we are discussing a no issue. We are wasting time.
We're wasting time.
Completely.
But I need to raise it to the public that at least they know what is actually in the amendment bill as well, if they haven't gotten a sporting chance to know as well. So let's get our headline
And there will be
thoughts.
a process of public participation.
Yes, let's get our headline thoughts first of all. And even I know when you're talking about the parliamentary parties, still the issue of who is the majority is in question as it is. So we'll know the determination next year.
The majority
is independent.
Majority is an independent leader, it's an elected leader.
And they're independent.
Who has mental judgment also to decipher what is right
the
and
majority
wrong.
coalition as it stands. Yeah, the court will make the determination in January. Right. Your headline thoughts?
My headline.
Owen Bayer. Your headline thoughts.
Now, my headline thoughts on this is that Kenya is now in the grip of heavy rains and El Nino, and we need as a country to stand with Kenyans. And I think government has risen to the occasion. I think that if you look at the newspapers today, I think government has given around 10 billion shillings in the cabinet meeting yesterday to to mitigate the heavy rain to counties, and has allocated a lot more money to ensure that Kenyans do not suffer. Kenyans, currently, my constituency was heavily affected by the rains. You saw the Mombasa Road was cut because of heavy rains. Some of my constituents were actually really affected. It's dire need that as Kenyans we stand up for other Kenyans, and as government I'm sure we will stand up for Kenyans to ensure that as we go through this phase of unprecedented rain, we are able to take care of Kenyans. And for me, that's very important. I would like to ask government, the whole of government, if we continue to talk about one government, this is the time when we need one government, so that every person is taken care of and does not lose life. Because
closing remarks.
Two things. One, to all the students who've received their KCP results, focus. You're all going to get slots to be able to move to your next level of education. So do not just be mixed up with your other political issues in place. If you have issues, go to the relevant institution, your school or NEC, and get the right feedback. Lastly, on the floods issue, I really want to condole with the families that have lost their beloved ones during this particular period. And I want to challenge the governors. You have money that has been earlier dispersed. Out of 385 allocation, what is pending is about 63 billion. So 320 billion has already been dispersed. You have mandate to be able to set emergency funds for what is happening, because the issue of floods is not a political issue, it's not a Kenya Kwanza issue, it's not an Azimio issue. It's an issue that concerns all of us Kenyans. So they should be able to put their resources that they have, that are in place, to be able to ensure that they help Kenyans who have been affected by these floods.
Thank you very much. Finally.
Yes, we've discussed education and exams, and it's agreed we must remove the premium and pressure that we put around exams, and make exams look like normal evaluations, like it happens all over the world. And the closure of schools for 2 months has got a lot of devastating effects on children. We are losing our students and our children to drugs and other bad social vices. It is time we allow examinations to go on parallel to the normal teaching of other classes, and we balance the school holidays. In planning, holidays must be balanced properly, so that if it is 4 weeks in April, 4 weeks in August, 4 weeks in December, so that we minimize exposure of students, long exposure to difficult and hard circumstances. And on floods, we should not lose any Kenyan whatsoever for whatever reason to floods.
Thank you.
Simply because we are not prepared.
Thank you.
The disaster preparedness for El Nino, I think it was alerted to everyone, including counties. And we are happy the president has stepped in, and so the humanitarian activities must be strengthened.
Right.
And we should ensure that no life is lost again for the duration of El Nino.
Right, thank you, Wilson Sission, for coming through to see us tourism. We really appreciate also nominated Senator Tabitha Mutinda, and also the majority leader of Deputy Majority Leader of the National Assembly, Owen Bayer, for that incisive discussion we've had. And yes, when it comes to examination, we do hope as well it will be like the universities, where we don't have so much hoopla and pomp and color when it comes to the graduation. We don't know who has a magna cum laude or is graduated summa cum laude, or who has top honors as well. I think that is the way we should go, so that we try and also lessen the tensions and the much premium that we place on these activities around our exams as well at the end of the day. Thank you for your valid company. You've been watching Siasa Fiesta. Don't go away. As always, we have News Diary coming up next.